Hi, this is Beth Azor, and this is my podcast, I Own a Shopping Center, Now What? So last week, I got an email from a broker who was representing a national pizza chain. And the broker was not from South Florida. I think I'm not sure where, somewhere in the Midwest. And the email said, we would like to talk to you about this national pizza chain's future plans in the market, and can we set up a call? Which I did set up a call, and the person and I spoke, and he said, so we don't want to go the way of other pizza chains and close stores, so we are interested, and we want to let you know that we're interested in staying in your shopping center, and we would even extend the lease. Since we're expiring soon, we would extend and do a 10-year deal, but we would want you to drop our rent, more or less $5 a square foot. So this national pizza chain is paying about $54 a square foot. The last deal that I signed at the property was $60. And so I mentioned to this broker, I would actually be interested in this national pizza chain leaving the property. Would they be interested in doing that? And there was silence on the other end of the phone. I even said, excuse me, are you there? And the broker said, yes, I'm here. And I said, so if they're interested in leaving, can we talk about that? And how much notice can you give me? I think I can pretty quickly lease their space out at actually a much higher rent than they're paying. So I don't think it went the way, and by the way, they were up in 29. So it is 2025. It's about to be 2026, but yes, so they have a full 3 years left on their lease. So it's not really coming up soon, but this is, my guess, happening all over the country. And there are some landlords that will, maybe if they're in the middle of a refi and they have a one year left on the lease, but please, 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 before you agree to drop rent for a longer term, the pizza restaurants have significant infrastructure. You've heard me talk about this before. It costs them money to move. So a couple things. One, make sure either you know or your listing broker knows if there is anywhere that they could move in the market. So in my case, I know for a fact that there is no place that if there's 6 shopping centers in my market, every one of them has a pizza or an Italian restaurant that probably has an exclusive. So it would be impossible for them to relocate. Now, if they were doing poorly, then they wouldn't want to relocate and they would just close. But the hint of them wanting to extend to a 10-year deal tells me, because I don't get sales from these guys, that they're not hurting. So secondly, if they were threatening to close and maybe not offering a longer term, and wanted in exchange a lower rent, then that's when you, the landlord, can say, please send me your sales for the last 3 years so that I could see how your sales have decreased, if that's what you're claiming, and I can make an informed decision on how much rent I would consider dropping, which then, of course, we would go to the formula of the occupancy percentage ratio, right? And by the way, pizza, their occupancy percentage ratio is probably in the 18% range, because if you think about it, not a lot of margin. They have the delivery driver's insurance, but dough is dough is dough. And they're paying 50 cents for dough and 50 cents for sauce. And let's say I'm wrong and it's $3 and they're selling the pizzas for, $16 to $25. So if you're one of the recipients of these emails and calls, please don't just cave and get scared and think that you're going to have a vacancy. Do your homework. See if they can relocate anywhere else. See if you can get them to give you their sales. If they are really hurting, I have found with national tenants, if they are really, really hurting and they're being honest about it, they will give you their sales. When they're lying to you, they will not give you their sales. So ask them for their sales. And when they say, no, we don't do that, then you can say, no, we don't drop rent. Okay. And if any of you are on the fence about this, DM me, call me, and I will help you walk through this, because this is a travesty that these national retailers hire these brokerage firms. These brokerage firms get paid most of the time on a contingency. So however much they get off of the rent is how they get paid. So please be strong. Please educate yourself with market data, potential relocation opportunities, and tenant sales. If you don't get the sales from them, call your neighborhood landlord leasing agents and see what their pizza restaurants or Italian restaurants are doing in sales. That will give you a good judge also. And just see if all of the competition is already in the market. In my market, every single pizza competition, then all of the national brands are all in my market. This group is not leaving my market and leaving a hole for their competition. It's not going to happen. So don't do a knee jerk and think, okay, I get 7 more years and I can drop their rent $3. Don't do that. You're not going to need to do that. But again, if you want reinforcements, I am here for you. Reach out to me. I hope this was helpful. Happy Monday, and I will talk to you next week. And by the way, it's Thanksgiving week. I'm grateful for all of you that listen to the podcast and send me wonderful notes of how some of the things I share with you add value to you operating and leasing your shopping centers. I'm blessed to have all of you in my life. Have a great Thanksgiving, blessed Thanksgiving with your families, and I'm grateful for all of you. Have a great week. Hey, listeners of I Own a Shopping Center, Now What? We have done some research and we have found out that 92% of the listeners are men in the ages of 50 to 70. So what I wanted to do is shout out to all of you. Thank you for listening. But I wanted to shout out to all of you. If you have a wife or a sister or a daughter, I have a conference every year in March called the Women's Real Estate Investment Summit. There are 250 women that attend, and probably 75% of them are investors in all kinds of different asset classes. We've had women that are fix and flippers, women that have invested in storage, hospitality, student housing, of course, retail, and you name it, senior living, multiple different asset classes, car wash funds. And the women in the room, what I do is I interview women that are investors, and then those women go into breakout rooms and do like a deep dive on how they underwrite their deals, multifamily, etc. And a lot of the women in the room have started investing with each other, which is great, which is helping my goal and mission of getting more women to invest in commercial real estate. But if you have a wife, a daughter, a sister, a mother, that maybe you want them to learn a little bit more about the industry, or maybe they're running your properties with you, have them come. It's March 4th through the 6th. We opened registration last week. We've already sold over 50% of the tickets. I highly predict that we will be sold out by year end. Maybe this would be a great holiday present for the woman in your life. So think about it. You can find out all of the information on bethazor.com. Just scroll down to the summit and you can read all about it there. It is life-changing for the women who attend. At least that's what all the testimonials tell me. And this will be our 6th year. So we've really honed it in and figured it out. So would love to see the ladies in your lives come and meet me and talk about real estate investing. Ciao.